Hello, thank you for tuning in. My name is Larry Duncan Allen, and this is No More Water, Fire. Next time, you should notice my subject today is about people. Hold on a second. Let me plug this in real quick. Because media has the right to follow a protest group up in a church. Many of you may have noticed the situation concerning Don Lemon and Ms. Ford, I forget her first name, up in Minneapolis when they went into a church. They followed the protesters into a church where they disrupted the church to out the pastor, who is a regional supervisor of ICE. So they went up into the church and they disrupted the service. And there's been a lot of different of opinion on it, but most people's coming out on the side of the people in the media. But I work in media and I've done protests and I've been in many situations, but when I first saw them go up in the church, I knew that was a big mistake. So a lot of people talking out of emotion. But under the law, you can't follow a protest group into a church because you're disrupting the service also. I can't go in a church and record the service without asking permission. So how can someone go up in there and record or document a disruption? Most people saying they're stopping their First Amendment rights, even other broadcasters. They're agreeing with the fact that they went up in the church. They were doing their job. Your job is not to run up in a church and help disrupt that service, because that's what you're doing. See, I'm not going by what I think or how I feel. It is against the law. I'm going to show part of that, part of what they did. Let me see. Let me show you this video.
Just here photographing.
Are you okay?
I'm not part of the group. I'm just here photographing. I'm a journalist.
This ain't God's house. It's the house of the devil.
Excuse me, sir. Can I get right here? Thank you. I'm sorry.
He told them that I'm not part of the protest. I'm a journalist, but he's still up in there disrupting the service. He didn't come in there for service. See, a church is open to the public, but the public has a certain responsibility. If I go right now, if you go down to let's say to the federal building, and there's certain things that goes on in there, you have a certain responsibility in how to behave and what you're doing there. But if you're not coming there for the purpose of what it's for, you're trespassing. If I follow you up in there with my camera just to record it, I'm trespassing also. But see what Don Lemon was arrested. And he was arrested. So was the other female journalist. She lives in Minneapolis. She was one of the co-founders of the Minneapolis Black Lives Matters. And she's very well known, but I just heard of it since this started. But that don't mean she wasn't well known because I didn't know her. I hadn't heard of Nipsey Russell or Charlie Kirk until they was unalive. Nipsey Hussle, or Charlie Kirk till they were unalive. Because I don't know them don't mean that they're not well known. But getting back to my subject. So many people, like I said, they're backing Don Lemon and the lady. But now, there's a law against this, but it's usually not enforced unless it's just someone out to get you. There's this law, but they usually don't make a big deal out of it because it's not hurting anyone. But Trump has been out to get Don Lemon, and he should know this. He has to watch his steps. He hates Don Lemon because of the things he says about him, which are true, but he always likes to go after his enemies. So don't give him the ammunition. Like I said, when I first saw him going into the church, I knew that was a bad move. I wouldn't have done it. I would have waited outside, just the story outside. All over the internet, everyone's backing what they did. I think they're going to extreme with it in the legal way because I think it was 3 or 4 judges threw it out. And they had to find a judge favorable to them, go before a grand jury to indict them. So that should let you know there's not a lot of merit to this charge. They have to keep going judge shopping because that's what they did, judge shopping. Now, like I said, they usually don't charge people with this, but they can if they choose to. That's what you have to look at. Everything I've been hearing has been emotional stuff. People who don't know the law. Here's part of the law, right here. It's not protected by the First Amendment. You need to arrest for trespassing, disturbing the peace, or violating specific state laws. Now, all this they're talking about um, federal charges. That's just something they're making up. They know that's not going to stick. It's really a very minor charge. And here's more. Well, it says with a combination of federal and state laws. That's incorrect. See, this law in 1994, it was made to protect people from going up in abortion clinics, but they added churches to it. Like I said, I wouldn't have done it. I know when I first saw them going up in that church, I said, oh, that's a bad move there. They shouldn't have done that. Now, Don Lemon was released. Let me say the way he was speaking. What did I do with that video? Oh, listen to this. That's when he was being arrested. Yeah. You have to know these laws. And I'm surprised all these people. John Lemon worked with CNN and many professional venues for a long time, and he should know better. I've heard all the other independent journalists back in what they did. What they did don't care is usually they don't charge people, but like I said, if Trump is after him, and he should have known that. He should have known it. Like I told you, sometimes you have to make calls. The one call I made, it wasn't because of a legal thing, but you remember, I think I told you before when the couple pulled the gun on the weapon on the people a few years ago over in St. Louis. I was just a few minutes away from capturing that myself. But what happened was the Marilada Cruzen, she was the mayor at the time. There was something happened, I think it was to Stockley unaliving. And she really had nothing to do with it. She wasn't even mayor when it happened. But what happened was they said they was going to the mayor's house to protest. And so that's when I broke out because I don't do that. Because if you're going to protest the mayor, you go to City Hall to protest them. not at their personal residence. So their family and the rest of them has nothing to do with it. And this was something she had nothing to do with anyway. But still, that was a personal thing with me. I have my own standards. I could have went, but I just don't agree with it. But this what Don Lemon and the rest of them did. It is against the law. You cannot just run up in a you can't run up in a place where a person is breaking the law and say, well, like especially at that church, I'm just here to document it. But you're up in there trespassing also. I don't know why they don't see that. Like I said, I can't just walk up in anyone's church and just start recording their service. I'm not disrupting anything, but I have to get permission. If I have to get permission to record their service, what makes you think a person can just come in and record people who's disrupting the service? Because and one reason I didn't agree with it, if they wanted to out that pastor for being a supervisor of ICE in St. Paul, Minnesota, they could have outed him on social media like everybody else does. They didn't have to run up in the church, put his picture up and out him on social media. Now, but I didn't agree with that personally, and it's not legal. But I see everyone talking about they were just doing their job, but they weren't doing their job in a professional way by running up in their church without permission. They should have waited outside for the people to come back out. That's what I would have done. I would have waited outside. See, I thought they would know better because, see, I actually studied this, what I do. And I noticed the difference in the way I do things and all these old proclaimed independent journalists. You know why they're having so much trouble with the police and all? They come with just a regular cell phone. If you notice, the people you see with just cell phones, they're all up in the police way, all up in their face with the phones. But the people with more professional equipment, how the police really don't have any problems with them. See, for one thing, don't you have a Zoom on your phone? You don't have to get all up in their face. You see the woman who filmed, who recorded uh, the policeman with his knee on George Floyd's neck. She wasn't all up in their face. I've recorded many incidents. I never had a problem with the police or anything. I could be over across the street and zoom in with my Zoom mic I got. I could pick up everything they say. Even if I didn't have the Zoom mic, I can just zoom in. You don't have to be all up in their face. That's the biggest thing you see they're doing out there, moving the people back with their phones, all up in their face trying to film. It's too many people who are trying to be a journalist, but yet don't know what they're doing. But see, with Don Lemon, now he's trained in this. He should have known better that he can't just run up in that church with some protesters and just say, I'm a journalist, I'm just recording it. But you're also trespassing and disrupting the service. And Don should have known better. He should have known better. Now, I hear all the other podcasters, they're siding with Don Lemon. They went overboard. The government went overboard with it. Many times, they don't charge a person of the media or something like that. They may give them a warning. But like I say, Donald Trump is out to get Don Lemon and most press, most well-known independent press people. And Don kind of gave him a feel right into that. And so did the lady. Her last name is Fort. I forget her first name. I should have wrote it down. I'm usually good at memorizing things. That's why you don't see me reading off notes and all. I just happen to forget her name. I guess you can't remember everything, but I'm remembering the important things. And so all you people want to record these policemen, anyone, get out the way. Then most of them say you can't record them, but you can record what you want to. But their problem is the people getting all up in their way. Want to put the camera all up in their face. A cop is not going to let you do that, and I don't blame him. Yeah, because it's getting pretty rough out there. The ICE, and the prison. I guess they learn from their prison, flipping the bird at people, throwing the finger up. There was an ICE agent that saw do it to a woman. He was a black ICE agent. And let's get this. Get this though. While I'm thinking about it. Do you know a large share of the ICE agents are Latino and Hispanic? The ones who unalive bedders, the man, I'm not gonna say the name because no one will say Keith Porter name. The man up in Minnesota, the ones who unalived him, there were two Latinos. And you want us to come and fight with you? And you all so divided like that? We can't get involved in no mess like that. It's your people who are the ones you're fighting against. Well, a large share of them are your people. You run around flying the flag of the nation you say you don't want to go back to, and you think we're going to get involved in some mess like that? Throwing stuff out at the police and all that, we're not going to get involved in that. Yeah, those were Latino ICE agents, and they can't yell about poorly trained. One was with the for I think about 15 years, and one 10 years. So they were ICE agents before all of this even started. I heard most of them are poorly trained, though. You know the difference between what's going on with them and us? The police who did all the same stuff to us were trained city policemen. They were trained. So just like King Jeffrey saying, I'm going to get back on my subject in a minute. They need to pay and have them go ahead and pass the bill, but get more training for them. He is so weak. They're doing what they were trained to do. The cruelty is part of their strategy. They're doing what they were trained to do. So why you need to give them more money to learn some new chokeholds or something? That's all they're gonna do. Learn better ways to terrorize the people. But back to the church. You know, just think if you were sitting in church. Here's some people coming in protesting and yelling all over the church. See, they're trespassers then. They're a mob then. If they came up for worship and doing like they're supposed to, they'd be welcome. No problem. But when you go up in a place like a church or anywhere and you violate the reason, your reason for being there is in violation, you no longer are welcome there. And I saw that when I first saw them. I saw it when they first showed it with Don Lemon and the woman and the other people walked up in the church yelling and screaming, and they had their hands up praying. I knew that this gonna be a problem. Cause I know my job. I know my stuff. I know what to do, where to go in, and what not to go in. Anywhere I go, and I bring my camera in and record something, I ask permission first. When it comes to something like a church. Now, outside, I can film whatever I want to. When you're going into a place like a church, an office building, or anything, they have rules. Some people have rules in there about recording. And if you're not going in there for the nature of their services, then you don't have any business there. Now, Don Lemon and that crew wasn't going there to worship. They had no business there. They had no business there. Out that pastor on Facebook and Instagram and other parts of social media, TikTok, all those different places. You didn't have to run up in the church. And these churches gonna have to start making sure they able to protect their members with the letter, if you know what I mean. Because just like they ran up in there, some other people could run up in there for something different. But still, so I know it just that probably 99% of what I read on social media was people backing what Don Lemon and the lady did. Fort. That's the last name, Fort. But I know when I saw it, it wasn't right. You cannot follow. It's just like some protesters going to loot a store and I go in there with them, so I'm recording it. I may not get charged with looting, but I'm going to get charged with something for coming in there. Because I'm trespassing on somewhere where I had no business going also. I'm going to climb through the window to record them stealing. I may not get charged with that, but I'm going to get charged with something for being in there. He had no business in there. And the same thing with Don. So he had no business being in there. Telling them, well, I'm a journalist. They don't care. It's still disrupting. Now, let me play you this other video. It's about, here we go.
This is a moment you could be snatched and taken to ICE facilities for no reason other than the fact that you are Somali American. This is not the moment to be quiet. An entire army came to Minneapolis to target lawful U.S. residents, Somali Americans. It is wrong, period. And this is the moment that we stand up. And you can stand up. Don't feel like you're helpless. You're a proud American, and they came for you. And this is the moment you stand up. And here's why Target is important, because Target is not a company that is saying that they care about us. It's a Target that is silent. It's a Target that already bowed down to the Trump administration by reversing its DEI. And here's the thing, Target's headquarters is right here. This is not a foreign company. This is a company that Minnesotans built. We built it with our dollars, with our support. And here's the question, when they're silent, that means they're complicit. We are failing by not choosing to stand up. So we need to stand up. This is a moment that you could be walking to trying to get lunch and you could be snatched and taken to ICE facilities for no reason other than the fact that you are Somali American. Stand up for who we are, and especially for all the young people online on social media who've been clapping back in so many different ways. I see you, we hear you, we value you, we love you. This is a moment that our entire community needs to come to, and especially for the young people. This is a moment for you to lead us. If this Target Corporation hears and feels the breath of the weight of our community, I guarantee we can not only reverse what's happening to ICE, but we will send a signal to everybody that this is a community you cannot mess with, because we are organized. And not only organized, we know where to move our money. And when we move our money, oh man, things start to happen. Things start to change. People start behaving differently. As long as they're connected to us through our money, they have a power from us. The moment we move our money, then we take the power back.
Those Somalians, they know where to move their money, all right. To Kenya. And they move things everywhere except Somalia. They go everywhere except Somalia. They move their money out to Kenya, buying property over there. And see, the reason I played that about the Somali, that's the same guy who helped to back Trump. They weren't black. You know, you said black people, they're black all of a sudden now. But at first they was Somalian. They didn't even say they was African. They said that they were Somalians and Arab. They said they weren't even African. They all this started in Minnesota because of things that they did. They opened the door. But you rarely see. Did you see them out there on those videos? See, everybody wants to be black now. Too late. You had your chance. Hispanics has never been in our corner. Back during the civil rights movement, their leaders was talking about they didn't want to align with black people. That was about, we was during the civil rights movement. No, they weren't. I showed you the other night where their leaders was talking about they aligned with more with the white circle. And they don't want the black people for their allies. So now, okay, we get that. Now leave us alone. Everyone's calling on black people. Why come they're not calling on other people? Why us? We didn't call on them. We had our own business. They may have came, but they came on their own. But the Hispanics didn't come nowhere. It was white people once you carry Black Lives Matter. Black people has really stopped protesting after Michael Brown in Ferguson in numbers. And the numbers kept going down and down and down. That's why there was so much violence during the George Floyd. Those were white people doing that, not the black people. It was white people who ran that police station in Minnesota, burnt it to the ground, ran the police at the back and burnt it up. It was white people who burnt down 7-Eleven over in St. Louis, Missouri, which no a black person would have known not to burn it down because that's the one everyone went to. Whenever I went over there, I went there. So you see, when we try to mine out, when we get out there and try to do something, they got a problem with us. When we try to mind our own business, they have a problem with us. Back to my subject about the media. See, when I recorded some of that in person, live streaming, and during this Stockton incident. But what I did, I stayed in my perimeters. I didn't get all up in police face. And if they ran up into a place, call themselves running up in there over their cars, I wouldn't have went in there with them. I'll wait till they come out. That's what Don Lemon should have done. And the other lady, she's an independent broadcaster. So is Don Lemon, just as I am. But went away because I do have a cable station. Just don't run it anymore. But still, I am independent even though I'm licensed. But look, they need to learn the law now. Don Lemon, he's a seasoned professional. He was with CNN for a long time, but he was sitting behind the desk. He was behind the desk. He wasn't going out there collecting stories. And if you're gonna do this, you have to learn what you can and cannot do. There's a lot of things you can get away with, but that don't mean you should do it. Yeah, because see, everyone's talking from emotions. They were just doing their job. I don't think they should have bothered them. But I have to go by what the law says. You cannot run up in a church, obstructing their service, yelling all kinds of stuff about the pastor. I mean, they could have outed him on social media, put him on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, all over social media, telling who he was, instead of running up in that church, disrupting the service, asking for trouble. That's what they were doing, asking for trouble. I know I would have broke that up. We're going up in the church. I set my camera right up to outside, which you all come out. That's what I would do. Wait till they come out. Cause see, look, you can't like I say, a church is a special place. It's public, then it's private. It's public for you to come in and do, well, like with most places. It's public for you to come in there and do what you have to do. But it's private and you shouldn't be there. If you're gonna come there misbehaving and being disruptive. You have no business there then. Yeah. It depends on your intent. Depends on your intent. I cannot walk in there with a bunch of people say, "Oh, I'm a journalist. I'm just documenting." That's not doing them any good. Then you just another person who busted up in their place. We have to be careful about the choices that we make. There are a lot of things we think is legal, but it's not. Take time to obey the law. Yeah, many things people do, they think it's legal to do it, but they're not obeying the law. Yeah. So although, like I say, I think the charges against Don Lemon is going to drop. It won't go much further. I don't think they really have a strong case to make it such a big deal out of it. Now, if they was in a municipality, they can charge some municipal fees. But no, just going to try to lock him up just because he trespassed. Yeah. Look, I want you to remember this guy right here. That's Keith Porter Jr., black man who was unalived by ICE on New Year's Eve. But you don't hear much about him, do you? Yeah, you don't hear much about him. Cause that's why I try not to say those other people's name. I say his name. Yeah, cause I tell you, they just doing to these people what they've been doing to us. So why you gonna go out there and protest, run up in the church on someone else's behalf? I'm gonna put myself in harm's way. It's gonna be on my behalf. It's gonna be on my behalf. If I have to go to the lockup, it's gonna be for something I did, not because it was something someone else did. Yeah. So I'm not gonna hold you long tonight. I'm gonna get ready to go. My next show I'll be back in my office. I'm not in my office right now. I'm gonna start back doing it from my office. People say they like their background better. I do too. I was really okay. I'm not gonna hold you tonight. My name is Larry Duncan Allen. I'm stumbling over my own name. My name is Larry Duncan Allen, and this has been No More Water. Bye. Next time. Thanks for tuning in. See you next time.